You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN and the Fandom Podcast Network. I'm your host, Christos, and with me today is Kristin. How are you, darling?
I am tired, but good. How about yourself?
I am also doing well. I actually finished my bathroom remodel yesterday. Like, it's done.
Oh, that's so exciting. Having a big project like that wrapped up and off your plate, it just must feel so amazing.
Yeah. Doing a little bit of cleanup. I realized a lot of dust got into my guest room, so I need to wash everything. But that's kind of now cleaning up the guest room. But that's just a couple hours of chores, and I'll make it all fresh for whoever comes to visit me first.
Woohoo! That person will be very lucky.
So I thought of you the other day, Kristin. I was at the beach on the 4th of July, and I met this 26-year-old boy who was hanging out at the table next to us. Yes, I know. I'm getting all the looks from Kristin right now. He came and talked to me, hey, daddy. Anyway, so he comes and talks to me and introduces himself, and he goes, "Hi, my name is Garrick."
Stop everything.
And I'm like, "Garrick, as in Deep Space Nine Garrick?" He's like, "Yeah, my parents named me after him. You're like the second person to ever know where that name comes from." And I was like, "You're named Garrick, literally after Andrew Robinson's character Garrick." This is a life full circle kind of moment. And wow.
Okay. On one hand, that is amazing. On the other hand, how was his time in school? We all have these unique names sometimes, and you have to have a personality to carry certain names. So,
Well,
I'm kind of speechless.
He's a good-looking boy. Him and his partner from Utah. So, hey, Amy. But yeah, he
Wow.
seemed to have very good social skills because, like I said, he had no problem running over to our blanket to say hi to us.
Well, that's always a nice compliment too, isn't it?
Yes.
But that would be the last name I would think somebody would want to name their kid after, was the devious spy.
But we all love Garrick.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. Garrick is like everything for me. But usually, I don't know. It's a very obscure character for some people, right? If you name them like something else, I can't think of other names right now, but maybe be like, yeah, like Jean-Luc. I met a Jean-Luc once at a Comic-Con and he was 10. And I was like, that I get. But yeah.
I would give my child a Vulcan name, I think.
I always wanted to name a kid Tiberius, and then he could just go from by Ty for short. No one really needs to know, but I know that his name is Tiberius.
But he's gonna go by Tib. Okay. Tib. All right, I can get behind that. Hey Tib, what's up? All right, I like that. It kind of rolls right out.
But I love that you were only the second person in this young man's life to know the etymology of his name. So that was really cool.
Actually, I found that was a little disappointing. I would think that with that name, we have more Deep Space Nine fans out there in the world.
He has yet the pleasure to meet the other DS9 fans in the world. Did you tell him about the cruise and how popular he would be?
Yeah. I told him. I was telling him, it's like, you need to come to STLV and meet your namesake or something like that, or meet Andrew Robinson or something.
Absolutely.
I think he'd be freaked out to find out there are people who name their kids after his character. I mean, I think that as an actor, that to know that you did a role that well, that people are that inspired by. I mean, there's the writing of the character, but the acting is what, really kind of makes it.
100%. No one else could have played that role except AJ.
Yeah. All right. So shall we hit some escape pod? It's back.
Ooh.
This is the bridge. All hands to emergency escape pods.
Well, folks, Prodigy is back. As of recording, it has been 6 days out. And by the time you folks listen to this, it'll be about July 11th, I think. So we might get very, very, very light on the spoilers because 11 days is a lot. But let's first start off with Kristin. Have you watched it all yet?
I haven't watched any of it yet. So and I know, don't no one at me. Okay, it's been a busy week, and I just because of how it is too. Like because I'm accessing it in not standard ways because I'm up in Canada and it didn't release up here. I can only watch it on my husband's laptop. So I don't get to just sit and chill and watch it if I'm at home or whatever, because he takes his laptop to work. So I have to wait until he's not using his computer. So that makes the coordination of watching it a bit more difficult. So
yeah. So I'm 14 episodes in.
Of course you are.
I didn't expect that to happen, by the way. I did not expect it to happen. But it's very, very bingeable.
Perfect.
It's hot. In fact, it's almost better bingeable because it's very serialized. It's very, very serialized. Like there's no getting around it for the most part. So you finish an episode, you're like, oh, I just want to keep on going. And then Netflix makes that so damn easy. It's literally within 3 seconds, it's got the new episode started. You don't even have a chance to like turn it off and it's starting the next episode. So you just kind of like, oh, sure, one more.
The infamous word of the binger. Just one more.
Yeah, just one more. But I'm trying not to do it like late at night or anything where I'll be fighting fatigue or anything like that. I'm just trying to really enjoy it. I know where I'm at. I literally turned a corner and it's about to start the finale arc of the whole season. Like there's like, I think it's literally like the first 14 episodes and then that it sets up what's going to be how the rest of the story finishes. Fans that know Christos knows that I got the best present that anyone could ever give me in season 2. And I'm dying to talk about it with somebody. So I'm going to have to sit on it a little bit longer.
What is it? One episode where it came out?
Episode 12.
Okay. Well, I will do my best to get. But you're
just put it this way. I've spoke of it on this show before that there is 2 characters having interaction that they've never had interaction before ever in Star Trek. They've never interacted. They've never even been on the same ship or same scene, whatever. But Prodigy brings them together in episode 12 to have a scene together. And it's everything my little heart desires. So, and Kristin's like, I could probably deduce it involves a few people that I could, but just get to episode 12.
Now I'm intrigued. Intrigued.
There are definitely a lot of nice surprises. And like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I guess I didn't really say that. But if I got to 14 episodes, I must be. But I am enjoying it.
Yeah, it would be hard to binge through 14 episodes in this amount of time if you didn't like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So probably more to come on our next episode, but I'm actually I literally this is my last episode for the next couple of weeks. So I'm gonna peace out and I'm heading to Hawaii for work while you guys are recording next week. So I mean, if I have to miss, I guess
what a tough life. What a tough life.
I know. All right. So shall we get to today's topic?
We shall.
Yeah. So we are part 5 of our Control series, listeners. Return of the Archons, which is a TOS episode. I believe it's season 1, episode 21, if I remember correctly. So yeah, some good old TOS action, which I think the last time you and I podcasted just by ourselves, we were doing TOS too. So
we sure were.
It's a little dangerous.
This one was better in my opinion. I liked this one. Yes. So the Enterprise travels to Beta 3 to learn the fate of the USS Archon, gone missing a century earlier. one member of the landing party disappears and one returns in a strangely blissful state. Kirk beams down with another landing party amidst the chaos of festival. Their hosts ask if they are Archons. To learn more, Kirk must convince the beta citizen to disobey Landru, the man who has ruled them for 6,000 years, or find those who already resist. But with the lawgivers everywhere, that task is going to be difficult.
First off, Starfleet, you lost the ship 100 years ago and you're just sending someone to find out what happened. I mean, come on.
It's been a while. And wouldn't families be asking for some answers as to the fate of their loved ones?
I mean, maybe it was just a thing back then to say, hey, starships disappear, man, and that's the risk you take when you're in Starfleet.
You know what? That's true. And actually, isn't it Geordi's dad who kind of talked about that in the episode where Geordi's mom dies? Is they sort of talk about just the inherent risk with space travel and taking on a role in Starfleet. So
if you go 100 years prior, aren't we like almost before Archer?
We would be, yeah.
Yeah.
So spaceships would be rickety.
Yeah, and they would be like really low warp and So okay, we can get behind this. And they did have all of Discovery not all of Discovery, but the first 2 seasons of Discovery and Strange New Worlds all precedes this. So they're busy. They had Klingon wars, they had Romulan wars, okay. All right. So topic 1, we're going to kind of keep these as more high-level cerebral topics today, listeners. So topic 1 is life imitating art. This particular story is by Gene Roddenberry, and the teleplay was written by Boris Sobelman, really back in 1967. So if you want to say it's very easy for us to talk about computers and AI and computers taking over the world and brainwashing people in some ways with news, fake news, whatever you want to call it. But this was in 1967, right? So there was no way computer was just this high level word that explained why we could send rockets into space. That was about it, right? So the foreshadowing of today's society is just creepy.
It is. I also do love that the computer was like the size of a room, as it would have been back in the 60s. I wonder if they ever expected computers to literally be handheld, but I think that just shows how much they have woven themselves into the fabric of our societies, where the big panic is always, where's my phone? And the nonstop amount of information that's constantly at our fingertips, and the influence, there's actual jobs out there called influencers. I mean, I don't see them as useful jobs. I am going to preface this by saying that, but that is what they do, is they influence us, and people are absolutely obsessed with following what they're being told through this little box in their hand. And for someone to come out in 67 with this idea, I think is just, Trek has done this so many times too.
Yeah.
I don't know how. It's sort of like Simpsons did it, Star Trek did it too. And I think that just shows the quality of the writing and the content, and Gene's idea and his vision for what Trek was going to be both celebrating and critiquing the future. So I think this is a great episode for that.
Yeah, I think it's stuff like this that gives, it takes away the cringiness of TOS. I mean, there are things about TOS that we love to criticize, but these ideas that were in there, and they're little morality plays, I would say, that they were putting on. And yeah, maybe special effects weren't quite there yet, and that's one of the reasons some of these episodes don't look as great as they could or hold up as well as they should. But when you get down, some of the stories are really strong. And of course, we are in season 1, which is the strongest season according to most fans.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because a lot of times the first season of other Trek spinoffs were not the strongest.
Yeah. Well, and it's also too like you're still building the Star Trek universe in here. I mean, there's so many terms like we'll talk later about the Prime Directive, but this is the first time the Prime Directive comes up, and it's
Yep.
episode 21. So, General Order 1, whatever we want to call it, it's really fun to like. Okay, that's they are still figuring things out, but you're right. There's some strong stories amidst them figuring things out.
Yeah.
Kind of jumping to our other topic with this is, what I think this episode is about, and this is kind of us getting into it now, is this idea of peace versus autonomy.
Yeah.
According to the people of the planet, that 6,000 years ago, they were very much at war. They were fighting and whatnot. And Landru brought peace to the people and then did it through building this control computer, hence our series, folks, Control. So the idea is here, like setting it up, is controlling society through a computer or whatever you want to call it, through a computer, through a pill, whatever it is, that just kind of makes you this happy drone. I mean, this could also be an allegory to drugs as well. Is peace at the cost of your individuality, your autonomy, your creativity worth it?
Well, I mean, no.
Right.
Right. I mean, I think that is the safe bet that everybody would say. However, I do find that it's very interesting, though, how some people will almost take it too far, where they're like, I'm an individual, I'm going to go against and just be a pain for the sake of being a pain because I can, because it's my individuality.
Yeah.
And it's in those cases where I was like, okay, well, now you're just wrecking it for the rest of us. Right? We can still have common courtesy and respect for our fellow man while exploring our own individualities and not falling for any sort of control. But I do think sometimes people do take it too far, where they don't realize that to be a successful society, you have to respect those around you.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me also of the vibe post 9/11 here in America. And there was this idea that we should give up some of our liberties for security. And I think it was Thomas Jefferson that said that, security at the price of liberty I'm messing this up. The vibe was, it's not worth it. We should not give up our security, our liberty for security. And I think that's also a little bit here. Like, I think Kirk even says it in the episode that, freedom comes at a cost, right? And we have to think about that.
Yeah. And also these types of societies where everyone is just essentially a drone and then they have their fun time. Their purge or whatever. And I forgot
what is that all? I didn't quite understand that part of the episode, to be honest with you. So the festival or whatever.
Festival. It's like giving the young people time to just go crazy because all that energy is pent up the rest of the time. And I was confused. Does festival happen every day from 6 to 6?
I don't know. That's like
I
half
would
the
find
day.
that exhausting. I would find that exhausting.
I mean, and like, is it implied that like the guys are raping the women and stuff? Because that's sure what it looked like for 1967.
Well, yeah, as soon as like the clock struck 6, everyone just starts screaming and running around. And yeah, things were getting very touchy-feely. And then the one young woman who seemed super distraught after it all happened. Are we getting another episode where you and I are going to go off about the creepy representations of shows from the 60s?
Well, but like, so my thing is that what they're trying to say is what's pent up in men? Like, like because you're so prim and proper, when you relax or when you let yourself go, you become this like primate who, gets down to this savage Neanderthal type behavior.
Huh. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, either did I. I'm literally having these thoughts right now. So,
I love it.
off and running.
Often,
Like,
often wrong
no,
soon.
like, I'm like, I just didn't understand that, I guess. It's like, the exposition of, I guess it's another way of showing that it's a flawed society, right?
Yep.
You don't walk around for, let's say it is once a month or whatever it is, but your 12 hours or 1 month, whatever it is, the 12 hours that things are going to go crazy is the price you pay for the peace of the rest of the time. But, people are getting hurt. They're getting beat on. Like I said, women are getting manhandled. And let's just, like I said, the way some of the shots were done, the directing, the shadows on the building, things like that, I think it implied that men were having their way with women.
Probably.
And yeah, and then you can only do so much in 60s television. But hey, we just did it in another episode, so
Sure did.
So-
And I also find it funny because when I think about myself, when I'm like, yeah, let's let loose, I'm gonna just throw off the shackles of society and just have my own little festival. It's like a glass of wine, probably an episode of Star Trek, and my cross stitching.
Yeah.
So the last thing I think about is let's go make a mess of the streets and sexually
Break
assault
up.
somebody, right? Like that's not where my first instinct goes. So I found it funny that they kind of just were like, well, they're going to have just the worst of the worst behavior. I'm like, would they though? Even
Yeah.
I
And
don't
I
know.
feel like that is what happened, because if you think about it, there are two clues. The Enterprise crewman who keeps on telling the girl's father, how could you let this happen? How could you let that happen to her? Blah, blah, blah. And then she is just like so hysterical after she comes back inside and it's 6 a.m. or whatever, and everyone goes back to normal. She's so hysterical that, of course, what do we just do? We just sedate her. Sure. Let's traumatize you, and then we'll sedate you and put you out of the way, because, that's what we do.
Quick little Ativan.
Yeah. So, okay, I guess we did find something problematic, but
That's what we do, Christos.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
what you and I do.
yeah, we advocate for women. That's what we do here. But other than that, and this also goes to like some of the crap that Gene Roddenberry would do. I.e., he had some weird perversions about, women. And just go read the novelization of the motion picture if you really want to see some, problematic Roddenberry. But I digress.
It's going to be like, okay, so I probably won't read that then.
Yeah. And I can just hear Amy and Kelvin and Mark now. We're never leaving these two on the show by themselves
know.
again. But hey, we call it what it is. Spade is spade here. And like I said, I was just wondering a little bit about that part, because I was like, what the heck is all this?
And my question is, after it's all done and 6 a.m. strikes, they just stop and walk away. Who's cleaning up that mess? Y'all, you made that mess. Go clean it up.
You know what it is? It's just allegory for all the holier than thous that walk around like they're so prim and proper and preach religion and preach, the book, and judge everybody else for being sinners. But then, they're the ones that are like doing bad things all the time in the background. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones that you find out that get arrested later for, XYZ, or, having affairs, or, illegitimate child, or, the guys that are trying to advocate to kill abortion, but, their mistresses have had 3 abortions and things like that. That's the people we're talking about here. So maybe it's a reflection of that.
You know what? That is so they just leave mess everywhere they go.
Yeah.
They cause chaos and then just walk away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I have, having grown up in the church, I have so many stories I could go off of people doing this, where they preach one thing, but they have their own festivals that they partake in outside of their pastor role. And when they walk away, the destruction in the wake of their actions is irreparable. And I could be dropping names, but I'm not going to do that. But
I think, okay, we've talked our way through this a little bit. And okay, so maybe we'll even give Roddenberry a little bit of slack, because if that was the intention, was to show the hypocrisy of the society, then it's brilliant.
It is. And see, that's the thing. I say this, I think every single show I'm on is these discussions are so amazing to help us look at these classic episodes that have been around for decades and really look at them through a new lens and a new perspective. And it's like, I never thought of it that way. Suddenly I get it. And so
Wow. We just brought
like
that
it.
full circle.
We
and
did.
it makes a lot more sense that it's like a play on like the religious right or whatnot. And, you know, and that that the festival is like, was that movie with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman when they're like all that, you know, that's really freaky one, you know, like, I feel like it's like that kind of festival is like almost that kind of behavior.
Yeah. I can't remember. I keep on. I was like, Punch Drunk Love. And I'm like, that's definitely not it.
That's definitely not it.
I also think that maybe the costuming in this episode reflects that, because they're kind of this very old Victorian, which again was supposed to be a society that was very moralistic, right? Ladies don't show those ankles.
Yeah.
That's just too much.
Very repressed society.
Yes. And I wonder if that's sort of tying into that theme. And so that costuming was done on purpose to show like this is the type of society we are critiquing here.
Yeah, it's conservatism versus letting loose. The movie, folks, was called Eyes Wide Shut.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah. No. Wow. I think we just decoded this whole episode. We are like...
We got this.
We got this. We got this. Okay. Listeners, we'd love to hear what you think of this part. Like just drop us some comments somewhere. What, you know, we'll tell you where to find it later, but if you don't know already. But yeah, I'd like to think if you think we're calling this right today. All right. Well, should we jump over to some assimilations and regenerations?
Absolutely. So my big assimilation for this was I just found the premise was so ahead of its time and shows why the original series was important. Like I can't do math. 60 years ago now, 60-ish years ago is when this would have come out. Mm-hmm. And they called it. They called that we were going to have computers immersed in our everyday actions, in taking them for big influences in our lives. And I just look back at this stuff. I'm like, dang, y'all were, you know, the computer does not take up the entire room now. So they got that wrong, but otherwise they were pretty bang on. So bravo.
Pretty bang on. I like how you said that.
Thank you.
You know, for me, watching this episode, I just watched it earlier today. The soundtrack, or the score, I should say, really made me think about Wrath of Khan. And it's because a lot of the music that's in Wrath of Khan was used in this episode. So I thought it was really well done that, you know, it ties, when they made Wrath of Khan, they tied it together very nicely back to the original series, not just because they were doing a sequel to Space Seed, but they were also, you know, these other little things that would tie it back to the original series, which I thought was brilliant.
Also, clock the hat. I'm wearing my Khan hat, so.
Oh, your hat. Yes, you are. You're wearing, you know what? And you know what I'm wearing? Check this out.
Keep Track Strange. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, a little hero within tank top. I love so much. Regenerations. Well, you might have decoded this one, but I put in there, I was like, I'm not sure the whole like Western Victorian vibe. I thought maybe it was just an excuse to use these sets that are on the back lot of, I mean, it would have been Desilu at the time, but Paramount CBS. But, you know, hey, we're controlling costs here, so let's just go use these back sets and use these stuff. We'll use these costumes from the costume department that probably were left over from Funny Girl or something like that being made. But yeah, but if you're right that it was supposed to be an allegory for conservatism, then they were well used.
But you know, if you kind of just watch it as is, the you know, the question going, but why are
But
they?
why?
So, if you maybe you don't agree with my connection between the two, it just these kind of costumes can sometimes take you out of the story because you're sitting there going, why?
Well, they keep on being referred to as humans. And get it, the USS Archon was there 100 years prior, but the stuff's been going on there for 6,000 years. So that would why would there be humans there unless the progenitors just made humans again on another planet?
Maybe. Or are some of these people the offspring of the fallen ship? Like, if there were survivors, did they repopulate the planet?
But everybody's human on the planet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been 100 years. You can do a lot of procreation in 100 years.
True.
Yeah.
And it's when we are just in one town. But
Yeah. And I wonder too if the costumes also came from they looked through the computer, because the computer would have been from an Earth ship, and they looked back in maybe some records to find a time that they liked from human history, and this was it, sort of like how the Herodians looked through all of Voyager's holoprograms, and they kept pulling the ones with all the battles, right? They're looking through our history to find stuff that they want to recreate now that fits their narrative.
I mean, we're taking some big leaps here, Kristin, but I'll go with it.
That's what I do.
I know, we'll go with it.
I'm running on just a few hours of sleep here. Oh, the beaming took a really long time.
Didn't it?
And considering we just have also done an entire series on transporter malfunctions, when you're sitting in that beam stream for a long time, it can be a little bit unnerving.
Yeah. I'm just like, I get it. There's like this dramatic effect.
Yeah.
Like, it reminds me of this episode of Wonder Woman when, Wonder Woman spins into Wonder Woman pretty damn fast. But there's this one episode called The Boy Who Knew Her Secret, and some boy sees her turn into Wonder Woman, and it's the longest freaking spin you've ever seen on television, because they're trying to really go down and make sure the audience understands that the boy saw her, and they're trying to capture that, and I'm like, okay, all right, that's weird. So I feel like for dramatic effect, it took a long time to get Sulu up there, because we had to get him also converted before he beamed up.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, that was a funny one. I'm sitting like, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. I could have had a V8 during this whole time. So my other final regeneration would just be about Nichelle Nichols. Ahura was doing all the real body acting. She's up there with her boy Scotty, because once again, we're teasing that Scotty Ahura stuff really early on.
Mm-hmm.
But she had no lines in the whole damn episode. She's just, Scotty's walking over and taking the messages, like every time Kirk calls. I'm like, she knows how to work that board. That's her job. That's her job. Yeah. So that was like a little like, okay, what, but there should have been a little better directing. And,
yeah,
I hope Nichelle got her money for that episode, and not just that was a tactic to like short her out,
Yeah.
You get less money if you don't have lines. I think when you're a regular series regular, you still get paid the same. Yes, I think.
I believe you do. Yeah. But was there pay equality back then?
Who knows?
Because people are saying even now in 2024, people of different races and sometimes women do not get paid the same as their white male counterparts. So
yeah, still working 9 to 5.
Paid, but did she get paid the same as Shatner? Probably not.
No, and it's this was nearing the end of season 1, which would have been when she was actually contemplating leaving the show too, right? Yeah. So, and Martin Luther King Jr. famously told her she had to stay.
Huge stride. I'm glad she stuck with it. But her fringe was on point. That shark bite bang that she sported in that episode was so chic. I just a stunning spectacle of a woman.
I'm going to add one more regeneration because it just crossed my mind. At the very end of the episode, when the computer short circuits and basically Landru's hold on everybody's gone, like within 2 seconds, they're showing the Enterprise, which they should, because Kirk's doing the right thing. Hey, how's the Enterprise? Are we okay? Obviously. And he's like, yeah, Enterprise is fine. And Sulu's already there in his uniform, ready to take his duty station back. Just like that. I mean, it's been 30 seconds or less since that computer short-circuited. and Sulu's already back on the bridge. Like, yep, got it. You're relieved. Boom, I got it. And I'm like, that was a little fast.
I'd be like, I'm taking a sick day.
Yeah.
I've been through a lot. I need a minute to just get myself back back to whatever.
Well, apparently he needs to go have his festival time because he's been
Yeah.
living the righteous life for the last day or two.
I'm gonna add a regeneration too.
Go
Is
for it.
Kirk essentially talks the computer into like committing suicide? Really? That part I was like, no.
Well,
And
it's like, that's some Jean-Luc shit though too, where the captain's so smart that he can, do that.
yeah, and just like prove to the computer its own points of flaws or whatever. I don't know. I was reading that and I was like, sure, why not? Here we go.
That's why you're the captain. You're so smart that you can literally figure out the way to do this is to trick the computer into short circuiting. And that's and you knew that was going to happen, and it did. I guess, like I said, it's a little bit of a suspension of disbelief, but whatever. It made sense. I mean, it worked.
It also this whole episode also gave me very strong Wizard of Oz vibes.
Yes,
like the great and powerful Oz behind the curtain, influencing everybody. Yeah, I thought it was very, very interesting. Except, we didn't get as much musical scores.
And Spock could have wore some ruby slippers. That would have been good.
That would have been everything. But of course, we have the epic hood where it's just like, and cover the ears.
All right. So let's jump to trivia and continuity, which is, I think, one of my favorite areas. When we do these, I love this background stuff here.
Yes. And this episode had a lot of firsts, right?
Oh.
So this is the first episode in which Scotty assumes command of the ship.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's very cool. And I always like when Scotty's in command of the ship, although later in TNG, Geordi would rarely take command of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So but it's something we saw happen quite a bit in Enterprise though. So they kind of ties together, like maybe the way this works changed as things went forward, but Enterprise, the way Trip would take control of the ship a lot, it does kind of continue on that way in a cool way. Although we don't see that happening much in Strange New Worlds because, let's just face it, Pelia in charge of the Enterprise would just be too brilliant.
Pike would be out of a job.
Yeah. All right. So this is the first mention of the Federation's Prime Directive. Confusingly, a second Prime Directive is discussed later in the episode, that of Landru's Society. When Landru states, the good of the body is the Prime Directive, this is mentioned by Landru and Kirk several times during a conversation, while the Federation's Prime Directive is only mentioned once. Yeah. Did you get all that? Because I watched that today. I'm like, what? The what? And the what?
But does the Prime Directive still apply to this society when they have already had contact with the warp civilization?
True. And I mean,
there's been contamination.
And the Archons, who knows what happened with the Archon? Of course, they were trying to find clues of that, and they were trying to do it in disguise. So, okay, I get that part of it. And really, although Kirk was doing it to escape, does destroying their computer system and their way of rule constitute interference? Which, yes.
Like the ultimate. You literally went in there and said, oh, Prime Directive, this and this and this, and then you completely upended how they do society. Yeah. Was that for the better? Maybe, because, Festival's kind of creepy. But, I mean, that is the most non-Prime Directive move he could have made.
Well, this ties directly to the next one. So go ahead and read it, and then we can discuss.
So the crew of the USS Cerrito returned to Beta 3 113 years later in the Lower Decks episode, No Small Parts.
So I can't even remember that episode right now.
No, me neither.
I know I've seen it, but I haven't seen the return of the Archons in years and years. So I feel like that might be something I rewatch today. Just
I
to
will
watch
probably
that
watch
lower-
that episode.
Just to say, now that this is all fresh in my head, that episode's going to hit a lot better than it probably did when I watched it as a random Lower Decks episode.
Yeah. And let's be honest, Lower Decks is the GOAT for amazing callbacks to other episodes where you're going, stop it, we're here. This is great. Or LOL, I remember that episode. Or that. Sometimes it's not even a whole episode. It'll just be a name drop or it'll be something. I don't know. I think that's what first made me just absolutely fall in love with Lower Decks was their penchant for callbacks.
Exactly. So hence we have a little follow up there. We should, like, in the grand scheme of things, it would have been cool to have watched that and then talked about it a little bit more. But hey,
Yeah.
can't
Time.
do it all.
No.
So Ben Stiller named his production company Red Hour after this episode. Interesting.
I think that again shows the long-standing effects of Star Trek in today's society that people don't always realize. How much this series really did form a lot of influential people now and what they do and how much they love it. So I think that's just proof of that. Oh, as well as allegedly this episode was the inspiration for the movie The Purge and its sequel. So again, just looking at the long-standing effects that Star Trek has on pop culture now, and more than pop culture.
I mean,
Yeah.
it inspired, like, literally how many people grew up watching TOS and TOS movies. You growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and it literally inspired a lot of today's creative people. So
Absolutely.
kudos to Star Trek.
And one more first from this episode that going back to talking about costuming, this was in fact the first episode where Spock's ears are covered when they go to another planet. So
well,
there we go.
Let's be smart. We're trying not to contaminate.
Exactly.
Because now we have this new thing called the Prime Directive that we got to.
But we're going to blow everything up at the end.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk some final thoughts. How does this episode rank against the others in our Control series? So this is TOS's The Return of the Archons, and our previous episodes that we've covered are TNG's Devil's Due, TOS's The Apple, TOS's The World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. That's a long title. And Lower Decks is Where Pleasant Fountains Lie. So, Kristin, I guess of the 5, do you have a favorite of the episodes in here?
Oh, Devil's Due.
That's mine too.
Absolutely. It's not even a competition. That was one of my favorite episodes when I was a kid. I thought she was fierce.
You need to cosplay Audra.
Yeah. I would need to get like the little, like the forehead prosthetic or something.
Yeah.
But because I always thought too that it was so interesting that people were it just shows myth versus reality. And like when people get so caught up in any sort of religion to an unhealthy level and how they were almost letting it destroy their society, and all it was a snake oil salesman, right?
Yeah.
She was coming in, she was not the devil. It was her scheming and the fact that she knew how to use some technology. And again, I think that is an amazing allegory for what we see with a lot of really harmful like mega church pastors and stuff that we see about preaching all this stuff, and all they know how to do is record on a camera and post it online, but they're not actually
A little Trumpian. Yep. Yep. Yeah, Devil's Due is such a great episode. I've always liked it from the get-go. I love the trial. This would also be a good courtroom episode, I guess. We never thought of putting it there. But, Data on one side, he does such a good job. And I really like Data in this episode. And I like how they, at the very end, that's how Picard breaks it up, and how he uses the tools against to show, hey, I can do this too. And kind of breaks that whole hold on society. Another
Yep.
Prime Directive kind of thing. But I don't know. Maybe I got to go back and listen to that. I know.
But I think they were already. It wasn't Starfleet already there, and that's why they were going back to that planet was to get
Oh,
them.
that's right. Yes.
So
yes.
I don't think the PD applies. But yeah,
Well,
that one is not even a close competition for me.
well.
And
there you
anytime
have-
Trek does Courtroom, you know it's going to be a good episode.
So, of course. And there you go. There you have it, folks. By unanimous vote, The Devil's Due from TNG is our winner.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristin. Whether you've got Xbox or Nintendo, check out Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. 2 episodes enter the arena, 1 comes out victorious. Join hosts Joe and Kevin, and a guest, as they debate which should win the Batleth battle. Grab your popcorn as you listen to Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed, but should definitely check out. Hosted by Mark and Matt. Don your apron for The Food Replicator, where Matthew eats and drinks his way through the Star Trek cocktail and 3 cookbooks. Beam Aboard Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Steven. In order to not repeat it, listen to History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissy and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissy and Thad. Curl up with a good book and delve into Beta Canon with Peter, host of the online Trek Book Club on Twitter, and his new companion, Trek Book Club podcast. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Whether you're a member of Starfleet Federation or Planetary Union, go check out Union Federation, covering current Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Head over to YouTube and watch The View Screen live on Sundays, your Trek-inspired talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy, with Season 2 starting in September for a 10-week run. Spill the tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with a LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea-Bab. And for our Patreon members, we have The Hive Mind with monthly script readings, Let's Fly, a Discovery reaction show, It's Green, a cornucopia of topics, Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Kristin, why don't you tee up next week's episode?
Yeah, so next week's episode will be Architects Part 4 with Brannon Braga.
You know, I guess I'm cursed in a certain way. Whenever I can't be on an episode,
Yeah.
it's one of these architects. I've never done one of these architects episodes. This is going to be the 4th one, and I am going to be not here next week, so I won't be on that episode. But
Next week's will be my first, and I'm very excited to talk about Jerry Ryan's ex, Brannon
yes,
Braga,
Jerry Ryan's ex. So you'll be talking a lot of Voyager and a lot of Enterprise.
which I don't have a problem with at all.
Exactly. So it's also one that I would be very strong on too, because I know those very well. We would love to hear what you thought of today's episode and hope you'll join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, or on our Discord server to continue our discussion there. You can also reach us at All Good Pod on X/Twitter and Bluesky. Please follow the network on Twitter, Bluesky, and Instagram at BQN Podcasts. We've also partnered with our friends at the Fandom Podcast Network, where you can find us by searching their master feed. Links can be found in the show notes. So, Kristin, where can people find you when you're not arguing with a 6,000-year-old computer?
Which we all know I'm doing on a regular basis. I am on Instagram at KStrats. That's probably where I spend most of my time. I am on Facebook, but I'm not there a lot. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm under the BQN. I'm on Reddit with user Garrick's Fan Club. I love to interact with all the Trek subreddits. The people on there are just hilarious. And I did not complete my homework from last week, and I did not join Discord. So hopefully I will remember to do that this week. And Christos, where can people find you when you're not protecting ladies during festival?
I know. Just they have nothing to worry about from me.
No.
You can find me on the BQN Collective on Facebook. You can find me in the Discord server. You can find me on Instagram at GreekGeekSD or at What's the TBev, and on What's the TBev here on the BQN.
If you'd like to help us keep all our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can join our Let's Fly reaction show, script ratings, and enjoy our special patron-only shows of It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Visit patreon.com/BQN to get all the details and watch your messages.
If becoming a patron isn't your thing, you can still support the show by sharing our posts on social media, talking about it with your friends, or hitting the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast, and leaving us a star rating and a written review. That helps others to find the show.
At this time, we would like to thank our very own associate producers, Mahendran Radhakrishnan and Jenediah Seastrum. A special thanks to Graham Kelly for our opening and closing music, and Mark White for our artwork each and every week.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you'll join us as we search out
all
good
things.